So because we lost all our 625s, with the Redmi Note 7, we are bringing in an all-new processor. This processor is absolutely amazing. On Antutu, this clocks in at a whopping 1.8 lakhs. Trust me, nobody has seen a performance like this in this segment before. In fact, when we compared the Redmi Note 7 Pro with the previous generation Redmi Note 6 Pro, we have 155% the performance of the predecessor. It's a massive jump. Not just from a benchmark score perspective. We tested it time and again internally. Almost everything that you run runs a lot faster. You see faster web browsing, game launches, social media launches, almost everything is much, much faster on the Note 7 Pro. So these were benchmarks and these were comparisons. So we decided to go a step further. And we said, let's compare it with some really powerful devices out there. And where does it stand? So we decided to compare it with the Qualcomm 710. And versus the 710, the Redmi Note 7 Pro is almost 17% faster. There's another 710, which is not actually the real one. That obviously is much slower, but we'll get to that a little later. So what we did was, this was Antutu. How about some other tests, like single-core tests and multi-core tests? So we also went to Geekbench and looked at that. So both single-core, multi-core, of course you've seen Antutu, it turned out to be the fastest device that was there. And of course we've seen the Oppo R17 Pro that does run Snapdragon 710 retails for about 46,000 rupees. And the Note 7 Pro beats it by a healthy margin. Why is that? Because the Redmi Note 7 Pro's processor uses the latest Cryo 460 architecture. Now this uses the same ARM A76 cores as the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855. It is a truly powerful chip. And this chip that we're using on the Redmi Note 7 Pro is none other than an absolute phenomenal chip running on the Cryo 460 architecture. It's an 11 nanometer FinFET process. So it's not just more powerful, but it's also a lot more efficient. And yes, it is an octa-core chip. We got to dive a little deeper. Okay. Now, as you saw, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 675 is an 11 nanometer, based on 11 nanometer FinFET technology. It uses the latest Cryo 460 architecture, and it is an 8-core processor. With the 11 nanometer chipset or the process technology, you get better thermal, you get better power consumption, and because of all of this, you're able to push the entire performance to a whole new level on the 675. Not just that, when we dive a little deeper to find out why it's so powerful, let's look at how the CPU works. And in the Cryo 460 CPU, you've got 2 gold cores running ARM's A76. Now, these are super performance cores. And then, along with that, you've got 6 silver cores which are run on ARM's A55 architecture. Now, both of these are powerful, but the gold cores do the major heavy lifting. So all your games, your heavy 3D applications are in the gold cores, while the silver ones are for your day-to-day performance. So whether it's social media apps, whether you're listening to music, whether you're browsing, these silver cores step in there. But not just that. Obviously, we are also interested in gaming. And there, we've got an all-new Adreno 612 GPU. And this GPU, when combined with the gold cores of the Cryo 460 CPU, take gaming all the way to the next level. Lesser frame drops, but also an overall smoother gameplay. It's absolutely amazing, and we've tested this amongst all the latest games. A few of us got chicken dinners as well. The next part of this amazing chip is the Spectra ISP. Now, this obviously is incredibly important because this has been engineered to support a 48 megapixel camera, right? And of course, you remember our tagline. Not just the 48 MP camera, but it also has better depth sensing, and a hint for a later slide, it also supports 4K video capture. And the last part that I want to talk about here is it comes with an all-new DSP, the Hexagon 685, which has much better AI processing, and hence that also adds further to your camera experience. Overall, this makes the Snapdragon 675 SoC, which is, as you saw, really powerful. And I'll just move to the next one. And we've combined this with up to 6 GB of LPDDR4X. Now we know LPDDR4X is the fastest RAM available for mobile phones right now, and you get that on the Note 7 Pro. Not just that, but for the first time ever on a Redmi Note series, we are also introducing a 128 GB storage variant. Now, you combine this, you've got a super powerful Cryo 460 CPU, an all-new Adreno 612 GPU, and up to 6 GB of DDR4X RAM. You've got an amazing gaming machine right in your hands. But that's the hardware part. We've also made optimizations when it comes to software. In fact, we are running MIUI 10 based on Android Pie, and from a performance point alone, there are more than 20 different optimizations that have been done. But just to highlight a few, from a lock-free critical path and code-dependent prioritization, it's able to run everything a lot more smoothly and push this entire system to a whole new level. Now, it is a Note, and you've got so much power, so it has to have a noteworthy battery. And the Note 7 Pro comes with a 4000 mAh battery that easily lasts you 2 days on a single charge. And when you deep dive, it's almost 45 hours of 4G calling time if you were to call someone that long. Or what's really important, and what I really care about as well, about 8.5 hours of gaming. Now, this is absolutely incredible. Now, this is a big battery, and it's a powerful phone, and we are saying that it's great for gaming. What you do need is when the battery goes down, you need to charge it up quickly, right? For that, again, a first for the Redmi Note series, you got Quick Charge 4. So, to sum it up, you've got the incredibly powerful Snapdragon 675 built on the Cryo 460 CPU. It has an Adreno 612 GPU, perfect for those heavy games. You've got MIUI 10 with Android Pie, and bringing you all those optimizations and overall a smoother experience. Up to 6 GB of DDR4X RAM and 128 GB of storage. And of course, the Spectra 250L ISP. It's an all-new ISP required for a massive camera. And with that, let's get into the most exciting part, the camera. Now, the camera on the Note 7 Pro is a combination of a 48 megapixel camera, and that's the primary camera, and along with that 48, you have a 5 megapixel depth sensor for those amazing portrait shots. Now, this 48 MP camera has probably generated a lot more buzz than any of our features ever before. In fact, when I think About 4 weeks back is when we first talked about the fact that 48 MP is coming. We have got thousands and thousands of questions, comments from a lot of our Mi fans as well, asking various aspects or various details. A lot of them wanted to know multiple aspects. So we've just taken some of those and put them here. So for example, Ashu wanted to know if this 48 megapixel was actually a real camera or is just software based. Or one of our very close fans who take a lot of inspiration from us, Madhav, wanted to compare it with a 13 megapixel sensor from the previous generation. So we will do that as well. And then Arijit wanted to know if the processor can actually support anything more than 24 megapixel. Well, we've answered the last question. So we know that the new ISP can handle 48 megapixel. But let's look at the other two. So on the Redmi Note 7 Pro, the camera that you get is a 48 megapixel camera, and the sensor that you get is the okay. So we've decided to use the highest resolution sensor available on any smartphone, period. It is an absolutely amazing sensor. It changes mobile photography forever. And of course, it is there on your Redmi Note 7 Pro. But before we deep dive, I want to show a couple of images. Let's play a little quiz. Can you guys guess what this is? Anyone from the top? I heard Game of Thrones wall. Okay, yes. It's really hard to do this with Mi fans around. They know everything. Okay, yes. So this was a zoomed in shot of an air purifier. Or, let's take a look at this one. What is this? Sweater. Pillow. This is the Mi neck pillow. Okay, let's get into a couple of sample images. Now this is a shot of the Taj, right? And I'm going to switch to Hindi for a bit here, because this is a proper 48 megapixel shot. So when we were taking this shot, हम दूर से देख रहे थे, तो दूर से देखा तो ताज महल दिख रहा था. दूर से देखा तो ताज महल दिख रहा था, पास जाके देखा तो कोई हमारी ही खींच रहा था. Let's do one more. दूर से देखा तो एक फतेहपुर सीकरी का किला दिख रहा था, राइट? हाँ, थैंक यू. पास जाके देखा तो कोई रिश्वत ले रहा था. Okay, moving back. What you get with the 48 megapixel sensor or camera on the Note 7 Pro is incredible detailing. This, of course, is the Taj Palace Hotel in Mumbai. And what you can see is a daylight shot with all the details captured properly. Unfortunately, the screen itself isn't big enough to handle that resolution, but we are trying to get there. Now, in a shot like this, with the 48 megapixel camera, you can zoom in even further and without losing any detail. You can see all the details captured. In fact, you can even look at that pigeon and count the feathers that they've got on the edges. It's an incredible camera. And let's go to the next section, where let's talk a bit more about how this camera works. So, we did talk about the fact that it's a 48 megapixel primary sensor clubbed with a 5 megapixel depth sensor. Diving a little deeper and looking at just the IMX586. Now this is the highest resolution sensor ever put in a smartphone. It is a half-inch stacked CMOS sensor. It is massive. Not just that, it also provides 4 times the dynamic range. So your photographs actually come out a lot better, even if it was, say, in a similar situation. And all of this is happening because this all-new sensor uses improved photoelectric conversion efficiency. What it means is it's able to handle that light better in that size. Talking about the sensor size, where does a half-inch sensor stand? So we compared it with some of the products that are out there. It is the largest sensor, or one of the largest sensors ever put on a smartphone. In fact, it is almost 27% larger than even the iPhone XS Max. I think we should price it somewhere there as well. Of course, now we are talking about some flagships there, but we also looked at other mid-rangers. I don't think it's fair to compare. It's almost a 40% gap. But let's wait for the photographs there, and we'll get into that. Now, this is possible with almost 48 million individual pixels that are sitting in this half-inch sensor. It's a massive sensor with 48 million pixels. And in front of those, we have also got a 6-piece lens system and a wider than ever aperture of f1.79. It's the widest aperture we've ever put on a Redmi Note device. This gives you incredible detailed photographs like the ones you saw. In fact, with this kind of a sensor size and getting 48 megapixel, you can print photographs almost 9 feet by 7 feet in size. It's that kind of a detailing. In fact, I don't know if we have a print. We could probably show a print of what this would look like, maybe a bit.